So there was some discussion in the Chaos Coding Cave Discord about what would happen if, instead of having all these individual meta rooms in the Capillata, we made them all one big meta room. Except for the comms room, because we don't like the comms room that can just stay by itself in its own meta room for some reason. But yeah, it turns out it wasn't terribly difficult. I mean, there was a little bit of math involved and some trying to copy-paste these images into the exact right pixel-perfect place on the background, but there's a lot you can do with this if you wanna. I of course can't go forward and do all the artsy stuff to make this into a full meta room, but there's a couple quirks. Oh, this is, let's talk about this. This is the agent preview area, speaking of quirks. So like, if you go over here, when you select an agent on the agent injector, what it does is it takes the sprite that you've specified in the agent and it's going to pop its image right here and then shove a camera onto this so that the image preview shows up here and it doesn't matter what size it is. So that was kind of a clever idea, but it does mean that we're gonna have to work around this space down here, potentially getting in the way of whatever you do. So there's a couple ways you could work around this. We talked about making a script that just hides this preview anytime you're outside of the comms room. Another thing you might want to do is you could actually modify the agent injector to point this elsewhere. If you want to get real creative, you could say, I don't know, like build a giant wall around here and then just weave it into the lore, however you want to do it. So there's some creative solutions there. The other weird thing I'm noticing is that even though these shortcuts work perfectly well to get you where you need to go, only this one will light up, probably because it was the first meta room that like gets injected in the world creation script. So you can go over here and go over here and they work, but they don't light up. It's still showing as if you're in the workshop. So maybe that's something we can fix. I haven't looked too much into it. It might just be tied to the meta room number or something. So, you know, that's probably fixable, but I haven't looked too deeply into it. As far as what to do with the rest of this space, here's our room system, right? We don't want to change or modify or resize any of these already existing rooms or reposition them. If you want to do that, you are more than welcome to do that. I would only recommend against that because it would create a lot of work for you. If you moved, say, this platform just a tiny bit down, you'd also have to edit the scripts of the lifts, you'd have to reposition the buttons, you'd have to reposition the door, if you even want to use that door anymore. Of greatest concern to me is if you move any of this stuff, any of this UI stuff, that's probably going to be Albion warping compatible, not to mention you have to move all this. I don't know, if you want to write a script in a clever enough way to reposition it after it's already been injected, again, that's a level of work you can take on if you're willing to put in that amount of work to move things around. So a couple of things, I think the first instinct everyone has is to connect all the rooms, and that's a lot of fun. You could connect all the rooms. There's a little bit of a concern about how steep this slope is, and if we need to use like a little like leap point or like a teleporter or even just keep the doors here, whatever you want to do, you can do that. This black space is a lot of room. You could use this space for anything. I mean, you could just make a nice walkway, but you could also make a multi-level platform. You could throw a whole other like room in here if you wanted to. A lot of people are talking about using the expanded hub in the, I think it's the Banshee arc or the Grendel, whatever it is, thing that comes with that. And you can certainly, if you want to, and I don't know who the author of those sprites is. There's a lot of people listed on their page, so we might have to do some research to get their blessing to do that if you want to do that. Alternatively, you can just do our own thing. You have even more space down here if you wanted to actually, you know, play around with that a little bit instead of just using an already existing background sprite for that. Additionally, there's a little bit of extra room down here if you actually wanted to create another level. Other things you might be able to do is extend this outward, and actually if you want to create your own room system down here, you could actually connect these two, and that actually might be a better way to solve the problem of the slope here. If the slope is too steep, is to just leave this as either a door, or you can, you know, just seal these areas off completely and instead make the major passageway go underneath this way. So I think that would conflict with what's it, Norngarden? I think the Norngarden portal is usually right here, so that might conflict with that a little bit. But you could do some stuff with that. And then there's also, you know, some room down here if you want to make some extra tunnels, rooms, secret storage places, whatever you want to do. There's a lot that you can play with here, so I'm excited to see what y'all do. I know I'm not a background artist, but I know there's a lot of really talented people out there, and a lot of really creative people out there with a lot of ideas, so you can feel free to hit me up with anything chaos related. But for the most part, I stitched it all together, and I'm handing it off to you, and I know you guys will do something great with it.